So we're getting ready to do 3 muscles. I add 3 more muscles today. What I thought I would go over is the resolution of the parts though, because what I've noticed on my model is that the face count is getting extremely high. For example, if you look at this femur and patella up here in the corner, the upper right corner, it says it's 230,000 faces. That's like ridiculously high. So what you can do is go to your topology. Let me get rid of rendering, and adjust this bar down on the low side. I have it at 100. I guess I'm not sure if that means 10%. But let's remesh it. And it's less than 10%, so I don't know what that means, but it's down to 5,000 now. So if we look at it, we're not really missing any detail. So if you click on all the parts, like this one's right here, this assembly is 380,000. That's way high, so we can remesh that as well. And it's down to 8,000. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I mean, it looks okay. So you might want to click through and see, like that's 17,000. That shouldn't need to be 17,000. Let's see what the scapula is. That's 117. That's a lot. So you could go through and individually reduce, just adjust that bar on the remesh tool, and then when you do it, just make sure that the detail is still what you want it to be. Otherwise, just redo it at a higher, move the bar up a little bit. So I won't spend too much more time than that, but that's a pretty quick and easy way to deal with it, I think. Alright, so today we do Rectus femoris, Quadriceps tendon, and the Tibialis anterior. So rectus femoris is similar to these 2 muscles that we already did, on the quadriceps. So point of origin, let me go to paint. Point of origin is right here. This point right here is the anterior superior iliac spine. This was the anterior inferior iliac spine, that bump right below it. And so the insertion is also by way of the quadriceps tendon, right here, this line that's drawn, and the patellar ligament right here that goes into the tibial tuberosity. So let's add our form. Let's see. So we elongate it. Outer ring to reduce it. Let's see. And it mimics the carrying angle a little bit. You'll find like a lot of comic book artists will draw it just as a straight form, but that's not really what happens. You could get away with it, but I like the idea that it moves in the same direction as the femur with these other quadriceps muscles. That seems to work out a little bit better. Probably I could have made sure that shape was right before I tilted it. Let's see. Easy. Bring that out a little bit more. So what happens is this muscle, let's see. This muscle is the highest one up from the patella, but not quite as high as I have it right here. So, something like that, and then what happens is this bends over, so we'll probably use the move tool. Let me see. Bring it out a little bit. Move or grab. Let's see. Drag. Turn off symmetry so that its tendon is up here at the top. And it moves in towards the pelvis there. So something like that. And I guess we may as well go all the way on this. So we could get the flat tool. That's pretty extreme, but that worked pretty well. Let's see. Strength, bring that down. Something like that. So in the front, there's this is all tendinous right here. And the muscle fibers, I guess I could paint it. Muscle fibers come off that tendon like this. Alright, so the question is, how far does this flat expansion come down? It probably comes down a little more. So much so that it looks like a division. It looks like two muscle bellies. When you're looking at like a bodybuilder, you see this very sharp division, and it doesn't come down too far into the muscle, but it does look like this is two muscles rather than just one. Something like that. And really from the side, it kind of does this a little bit. right up where that insertion is, it does become very much more tendinous. So it starts to go back to the pelvis rather than this peak, this full form that goes right up to the connection. It's flat and then it comes out a little bit more, something like that. So let's see. Well, thought I'd try to finesse it a little bit there. I think I'll just leave it alone. Alright, so now what we have in the drawing video, I got this wrong for some reason. I can't talk and work at the same time, but as I said before, there are 4 quadriceps muscles: vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, the rectus femoris is one, but there's also something called the vastus intermedius. So you get the lateralis, which is on the lateral, on the outside. Medialis is towards the midline, the medial, the median of the figure, and then the intermedius right here that goes between these 2 muscles. The thing is there's a tendon that goes over that muscle. That tendon is the quadriceps tendon. So we don't really talk about the vastus intermedius. What we're really talking about is the tendon that goes over it that gives the surface form. That's the quadriceps tendon. So we're gonna see what we could do. What would be the easiest way to depict that? Probably a sphere, as usual. Come down. Alright, so let's flatten it out a little bit. Wait. Alright. So we're just connecting, we're putting this form in there. It's got a particular shape. Really, it's just the shape of the cavity that's there. Alright, we could get the move tool. I don't know if that's too much. comes out. And there's another tendon that'll go over here. It connects the, that goes over the vastus lateralis. So we're not going to bring this back too far. So we want it to be kind of, it's just connecting these forms to the patella, this quadriceps tendon. So at this point, I'd probably use the flatten tool, because it is a flat form. Let's see what we can do. It's a little bit strong. Let's see. Make a first pass, I guess. That's not too bad. I could probably live with it, but we'll do it one more time. So we'll yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Let's see. Okay, looks pretty good. Could be even flatter. Sometimes it's kind of more of a depression. You know, when you've got 3 full muscles connecting, and this is just a flattened form. Like, so you could find yourself wanting to, well, let's do this. Let's just see how far we can get with flattening. Yeah, that's probably more like it. It's not amazing, but that gives you a pretty good idea of what's going on. And I would say even this could come more forward, because it does come more forward. So let's go to the move. Let's get rid of the grid. I don't know why. It's like weird. All right. So you could bring that more forward. Maybe make it a little more full. Yeah, that's not bad. Alright, so you have that. And then as you go along, you find yourself kind of like this. Seems like it could come out a little bit. You find yourself correcting things as you go along, because it's making a puzzle in reverse. You're making the pieces as you go. You're not starting out with a bunch of fitted pieces already. We're fitting the pieces as we go. So, but that's not too bad of a representation of that so far. So we can also do the patellar ligament, which completes the insertion of the quadriceps. As it connects the bottom of the patella to the tibia. So that one I think we could do with a cube. And let's see. Alright, so it's funny because I construct these a certain way, but I actually draw them a different way. So that's about to change, I suppose. Let me see. So I guess starting out, this is the simplified version of it. It's not this thick, probably more like that. It's just tendon. It's a strip of tendon that goes from the bottom of this to this. And it's not really a cube, it's not a rectangle. Let's make this the right dimension. Because the point that it connects to, the bottom of the patella, is wider than the point it connects to on the tibia. It is straight, so I have the tibial tuberosity over a little bit more than I should. We could go to the move tool, so we could bring this in a little bit. And when I draw it on a figure, I do draw it as this elongated triangular type form. And a lot of times I'll, for simplification, continue it as basically the bottom of the patella. This elongated form where this and this combine. But of course it depends on the position of the knee. In a standing position you could kind of get away with it, or when the leg is extended. But if the knee is bent, then something else happens. So we can bring this back. Yeah, I'm sure maybe a cylinder would have worked better than what I'm doing right now. Yeah, I think a cylinder would have worked. The interesting thing about these, the cube on here, is it maintains its corners pretty well, which is I think what it's supposed to do, but we don't want corners. So all right. I don't want to take too much time on this. That's about right. All right, so that's the tendon. That's the quadriceps tendon and the patellar ligament are the way the quadriceps are connected to the leg. If you think about it, if these are erector muscles, these are extensor muscles, so that it keeps your leg extended, it needs to cross that joint to pull on the tibia from this side so that that knee is not bent. The muscles in the back of the leg are going to pull in the other direction, and that's what's going to bend the knee. So for these muscles to be effective in that way, they have to connect below the knee joint to pull that knee joint from the front tight together. So that's what's happening right there. All right. Next is the tibialis anterior. Tibialis anterior. Let's paint the origin. Origin is on this side of the shin. So it's going to be basically the upper half of the tibia. This whole area here. But it's also, it crosses over, the muscle's wide enough that there's something between the tibia and the fibula called the interosseous membrane, and it's just this thin membranous material, a soft structure that kind of separates between the muscles, but it also is a surface for this muscle to attach to. So right in that space in there, this muscle attaches to a membrane. Down below, a tendon crosses over and it connects underneath here. That's the insertion. So this is the origin, this is the insertion. The muscle is not unlike the soleus in shape. It's very similar. Let's add a sphere. So we're going to do this in probably two parts. That tendon has it's like a tail that curves. So we'll see what we can do there. Let's see. So as far as how far this comes off the tibia, the width of it, you still want to pretty much see the fibula. Or at least come out to the edge of the fibula, something like that. Smaller at the bottom. Probably try the pinch tool, see what happens. Because it becomes more tendinous at the bottom. That's working pretty well. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. We'll see. So you cross over, is that triangular, that flat triangular front, that's where the tendon crosses over and it follows that on the inside edge. And it's, I'm sure I could do a much better job than this. We want to stay on the other side of that shin. We're not crossing over it, we're just following that. That shin really kind of comes onto the inside. I don't think I really pronounced that form, that corner right there as much as I could have, but that's pretty good. That's working out pretty well. I guess we could take the pinch tool on that. It's at the base of the 5th metatarsal. So if you remember, your these are your tarsal bones up here, right? So your metatarsal is this, and the base of it is probably somewhere here. So it goes underneath it. Okay. And it's just a tendon. It's not really down here. There's muscles that go over that. So that's not surface form down here. It is surface form up here though. You will see that. So I'm trying to do a good job here. So you could come past the shin a little bit, but it really parallels, it mocks, it echoes the profile of the tibia. So you could kind of bulge past the tibia profile, but you're not going to cross over that shin line. That part of the bone remains visible. That's pretty good. Let's smooth it out. Probably do something there. And what happens is there's in between here, there's two more muscles that go in there. One is called the extensor digitorum. It's a pretty thin muscle. The other are the peroneus muscles that go right on the fibula. So we need that space to fit muscles in there. That's pretty good. So you can see that S curve kind of comes out, and it curves back in, and it comes back forward towards the foot. You can see it more here. And when you're comparing the profile of the leg, you can see the upper leg comes out the most, comes the most forward. This is still behind this part right here. Okay, that's it.